Are there any new techniques to getting what we want and manifesting? That's exactly what we're talking about today on Mindful Manifesting, and you're listening to Ariana Rollins. But before we dive into the episode, if you would like to kickstart your manifesting journey, maybe you're stalled, maybe you feel there's things in the way, I think you'll really enjoy the free gift. And you can find that at mindfulachiever.com. It's a worksheet, it's a guided meditation, and I promise you I still do it today. And I've been doing this stuff for 20 years. I find it that useful. Okay, we're going to be talking today about a, quote, a new technique for using your subconscious power. You intrigued? This was years ago that I'd been trained in a technique of getting what you want and removing resistance and blocks and creating alignment. You've heard me talk about it before if you have listened to other episodes, and it's called Cybernetic Transposition. Well, one year, a while ago, I was in the bookstore and I saw that there was a book called Psycho-Cybernetics. Why they use cybernetics in the title of these things, I don't know. It's not very interesting. And I was drawn to it. It said over 5 million copies sold. I was like, interesting. Is this similar to what I've been learning and what I've been teaching and guiding other people? So I picked it up and I was immediately drawn in by the warmth and the style of the author. And his name is Dr. Maxwell Maltz, and he's a MD, he's a medical doctor. So I'm reading this and I just felt there's so much heart in this compared to traditional cybernetic transposition. This is blessed. This has so much heart, and it's because of the author. The author brings it such warmth and connectability to the material. It was a very easy read. You can't see it, but I do these little sticky notes in books. I tell you, there's got to be 40 sticky notes on this book. I want to cover a few things, mostly to inspire you to maybe explore this book, explore this subject. So it's called Psycho-Cybernetics, A New Way to Get More Living Out of Life by Maxwell Maltz, MD. But let me give you a little story first about Maxwell Maltz. And this book was 1960. Wow, I didn't realize it was as old as it was. It is. So Maxwell Maltz was a renowned plastic surgeon. People would come to him with conventional requests. I want a nose job. I've been in a car accident and I've got scars on my face. I feel disfigured, or other things. So he was well-renowned and successful. He'd been in business for a long time. And he started to notice that certain patients, he'd do describe to them, what he was going to do. They would say, yeah, that's what I want. That's the kind of nose I want. And he would do the surgery and they would have the procedure done, go home for healing, and they would have bandages on their nose for healing. Well, the uncovering or unveiling was a really wonderful time for the patient because he would take the bandages off and he'd bring a mirror to their face to show them how their new nose looked. Well, he observed, and it was really interesting, I appreciate his kind of scientist mind, is that certain patients would say to him, like, I know you did the surgery, doctor, but it doesn't look any different. And he would cock his head. What? It doesn't look any different? Because for him, he had the original photographs of what the nose looked like, and he was looking at the patient with the new nose, and he saw the vast difference. So he was curious about this. It didn't happen with all the patients, but there were a good number, a handful. And that they couldn't, I wouldn't say they couldn't see the changes, but they couldn't feel the changes. There was nothing in them that shifted. It didn't build their confidence. They didn't feel more attractive, more beautiful. The insides were the same, which is what he started to research. Like, I could be the best plastic surgeon in the world and I can fix the most gravest deformities. But unless someone updates how they feel about themselves inside, nothing's going to change. So when I was reading the preface, reading about him, I was like blown away. I said, that is so true. So we can set a very deeply meaningful intention for our manifestation. We set an objective using cybernetic transposition terms. We can feel really connected to it. We can want it with all our heart, all our mind. We can do the work to create a future vision and a future memory. We can really see ourselves living, eating, and breathing that. But there's a gap. It's where we are right now and that vision, that future memory. How would you know if there were internal scars, for example, that wouldn't allow you to fully activate it, fully manifest it, fully bring it into reality? Well, if you've been working on it for a while, I like to say about 90 days or more, and you're not seeing shifts, you're not seeing evidence that it is changing. We're not in an instant manifestation world. If you ever want to see a movie, brilliant, called Forbidden Planet, that was an instant manifestation world, and that's scary because your thoughts would then create whatever it is you were thinking about. I don't think we're ready for that. I think we got to grow up a lot more than, to be able to live on a planet like that. So our intentions and our thoughts and our desires take a little time to unfold. But if we're not seeing shifts in our healing, for example, or we're not seeing shifts in how we turn up with our partner, or we're not seeing the shift in our business. Now, it doesn't mean we're going to get instant growth and income or instant clients coming to us, but could we see that we're getting more subscribers to our freebie? Could we see that clients are sticking with us longer than previously they were? Now, those are all signs. Those are all evidence that you're moving towards your bigger objective of having more clients or raising income or overcome a healing crisis. Now, one of the things, and we're going to digress for just a moment, then we're going to get back to Psycho-Cybernetics. One of the things that can slow down the manifestation is if we're always looking for it. We're always looking for the relief if we are in pain. We're always looking at our subscriber list to see the growth. We're always looking at our schedule. Oh, someone's booked in for a free consultation. That we're looking for the evidence that we've manifested. And it's hard not to, my friends. It's hard not to. I've lived with just a stupid thing that happened. I dropped something very heavy on my foot last year when I was moving, and it threw out the whole way that I walk. Oh my gosh, I had no idea. If you ever have to wear a boot, run to a physical therapist immediately to get yourself back in alignment and walking correctly. So I remember when I was using the tools that I have to release myself from the pain, to return to wholeness and comfort and have effortless walking like I used to have, pain-free walking. And I would come out of the meditation, and I'd hop off the bed and I was like, oh, pain's still there. Or I'd walk down the stairs to take my dog for a walk. Pain's still there. And I would have that kind of grimace, and I was like, and it's human nature. It's not working. It's not working. Funny little aside from the pain in the knees and the shins is I had an intuitive hit, and this is a very important piece to pay attention to because your manifestation is going to come through intuitive hits and actions to take. Now, I paid attention. intuitive hit, buy new shoes. Gosh, my new Gravity Defier shoes are in fantastic condition. They look new. And I've only been wearing them for 6 months. But the intuitive hit said, look at how many steps you've done. And I track my steps using this smartwatch on my wrist, and it's Garmin smartwatch. So I looked in it, and then I looked at another app that I track with Step Up. And I was like, whoa, I have walked 700 miles in these what look like virtually new shoes. So I did a little chat GPT. Walking shoes, running shoes are good for 300 to 400 miles. I was aghast that I had walked 700 miles in 6 months, but I did. So my intuitive hit to buy new Gravity Defier shoes was spot on, even though my shoes look great. So why I'm talking about this is that I've been focused on healing my knees and shins since last August. It's been over a year. And as soon as I put on the new Gravity Defier shoes and took my dog for a walk, I was like, whoa, these feel really comfy. Oh, these are my favorite shoes. And I've noticed progressively, I got them on Saturday, I think they were delivered, and now it's Wednesday. It's been 4 days, 5 days. Radical improvement in my knees and shins. Go figure. I was thinking I'm going to have to go pay a lot of money to go to a physical therapist, and I was getting really despondent that the healing's not happening. Who would have guessed that my shoes that looked nearly new were the culprit to my lack of healing? So when we are setting an intention, when we want to manifest something, the guidance comes through our intuition. I also think the guidance comes very strongly with our connection to our true self, that inner being that has our best interests at heart and knows us from very little to our advanced version of ourselves, our highest potential, shall we say. So those inner kind of twinges, nudges, knowings, we need to pay attention to them. And it's not automatic. It's something that I worked on for years to have that developed inner conversations and listening to it. So I'm very grateful that I've had a huge breakthrough with the healing that I've been looking for. So let's go back to Psycho-Cybernetics. Okay. So one of the things and why I really like the book is that we cannot convince ourselves into developing a new way of being, a new personality, because that's really what Psycho-Cybernetics is all about, is developing a new personality, a new identity, because we have all of these beliefs about who we are. We are hypnotized into the old false beliefs, like the woman who said, I know you did the surgery, Dr. Maltz, but I don't feel any different. I don't look any different. So we need to become de-hypnotized from all of the beliefs and all of the conditioned patterns, way of thinking, way of being. And that's what the journey is de-hypnotizing ourselves, clearing the blocks, clearing the attitudes, the characteristics, the behaviors, and becoming consciously aware of them is part of the journey. Because if we don't know that we are hypnotized and we've got a belief running, we're not going to know that we're going to create the same results as we always have. So I want to share just a little excerpt from the book, and it may sound lightweight, but it's about the happiness habit. Our self-image and our habits tend to go together. And change one, and you will automatically change the other. The word habit, and this is kind of fun, I like he brings in these stories, originally meant a garment or clothing. Don't nuns wear habits? Didn't realize that. We still speak of writing habits And this gives us an insight into our true nature of habit. Our habits are literally garments worn by our personalities. They're not accidental or just happenstance. We have them because they fit us. Our habits fit us. They're consistent with our self-image and our entire personality pattern, I would say identity. When we consciously and deliberately develop new and better habits, guess what? Our self-image tends to outgrow the old habits and grow into a new pattern. Let's bring in some Dr. Joe here. New neural pathway. We're not following the same cue and response. So he said, I can see many patients cringe when I mention changing habitual action patterns or acting out new behavior patterns until they become automatic. They confuse habit with addiction. Now, an addiction is something you feel compelled to. You don't have a choice. You've gone unconscious. That's my paraphrasing. And so treatment of addiction is obviously beyond the scope of this book that I'm reading, but we definitely can change habits that bring rise to the addiction. So habits, on the other hand, are merely reactions and responses which we have learned to perform automatically without having to think or decide. Now, not all habits are bad. Think about the habit of driving a car. Unless you're a dangerous driver, then it's a bad habit. But most of us drive safely. That's a habit. It's something that you have memorized. Your unconscious mind has memorized. So this is him quoting this, but Dr. Joe quotes it. Stuart Lichtman, who wrote Cybernetic Transposition books, quotes it. Fully 95% of our behavior, feeling, and response is habitual. It's stored in our body, and our body is the storehouse of the unconscious mind. I want you to grasp that. 95% of what we do, what we think, what we feel is habitual. The pianist does not decide which keys to strike. The dancer does not decide which foot to move where. The reaction is automatic and unthinking. It's in the body. It's body memory, right? So in much the same way, our attitudes, emotions, and beliefs tend to become habitual. In the past, we learned that certain attitudes, ways of feeling and thinking were appropriate to certain situations. Now, we tend to think, feel, and act the same way whenever we encounter what we interpret as the same sort of situation. Isn't that interesting? Or the same sort of person, the same sort of thinking. What we need to understand is that these habits, unlike addictions, can be modified, changed, or reversed simply by taking the trouble to make a conscious decision. Choose differently. There's actually a whole passage in the book, Mindful Achiever, about choose differently. And then by practicing or acting out the new response or behavior, well, now we've got a new way of being. We've got a new personality, a new attitude. Now, the pianist, if they didn't learn properly, they can consciously decide to strike a different key, but it takes work. The dancer can consciously decide to learn a new step, and there's no agony about it, but it takes conscious, constant watchfulness and practice until the new behavior pattern is thoroughly learned. So let's and I think I'm going to share more about this book. I enjoyed that passage. Hopefully you did. So if you are not progressing on an intention that you've set for yourself, that you want to make a change, or you want to bring in more clients or more money in your business, or that you want a new relationship partner, and you're not seeing evidence that you're making the micro changes to get you there, then there are likely blocks in the way. And that's one of the things that I like to focus on sharing with people, empowering them, is how to remove the blocks. Because just decide to do differently, just decide that you're going to drive differently, just dance differently, just play the piano differently, you have to be conscious of it. You have to make a conscious decision. And that's one of the things that blockers do, is they take the choice away from us. We don't have a choice. We don't have a decision. They're on autopilot. So getting to the programming, which is in your body, is the way to rapid change. So just as a reminder, the end of the summer, which is going to be September, end of this month, you still have a chance to get 50% off on the Mindful Manifesting Program, which you learn how to recognize blockers, how to clear blockers, and how to achieve your deeply desirable objectives and intentions. It's Manifesting 101. It's really, and that was the original name of the program, actually, I think. All right. So I hope you enjoyed this as much as I did. And as we wrap up, go to mindfulmanifestingprogram.com. I will put the coupon code down here for you. Grab it. I think it's less than $250, and it can make radical changes in your life and help you manifest faster and easier, because you're getting to the programming, which is in your body, your unconscious mind. All right. As we wrap up, thank you so much for listening. I hope you have a magical rest of your day. And remember, as you confirm yourself, you chart your own path to success. So much love. Bye for now.